What's up, y'all? Welcome to Tabletop Bros. Like many of you guys and gals, I grew up using almost exclusively Games Workshop products. And when I started 30 years ago, we didn't have many options. But now, fast forward to 2024, and we're spoiled for choice. So today, we're going to be trying out an alternative to Nul'n Oil, one of my all-time favorite shades, and we're going to see if Pro Acryl's black wash really stands up to the test. There's some basic differences right off the bat. The Pro Acryl bottle has a screw top type of dropper bottle, as where the Games Workshop has their typical pots. But honestly, the container is the least important part. We really need to see how these perform. But not just down in the deep recesses. We also want to see on large flat areas as well, because oftentimes that's where we see washes and shades have the most trouble. So I went ahead and assembled, primed, and airbrushed 3 Munitorum Armoured Containers, all in various colors. And we're going to put this Pro Acryl black wash to the test. And full disclosure, I have never used any Pro Acryl products before, including this black wash. So I'm going to give you my 100% unbiased reaction. So I started off by putting a generous coating of it on this red armored container. In some areas, I thinned it down with a little bit of water so that it flowed a little bit better. You do see in some places that it actually pooled on the bottom, as you would expect, not unlike what Games Workshop Nul'n Oil would do. But I have to say, my first impression after using this product is very, very good. Some of the main problems that I've had with competitors in the past, they're really bad about leaving like water stains behind. They're far too oily or far too thin, or worse than anything, they dry glossy. So after using these on multiple containers and really putting them to the limits, I have to say that the final product is absolutely amazing. But rather than just slap these on a couple of containers and then just call it a success, I want to see how they actually look when they're completed. So we talked about the actual container itself, and I know it's definitely a point of contention with a lot of people, but I really do prefer the Citadel paint pots when it comes to washes and contrast paints. So while the screw top is nice for certain things, like airbrushing or pouring out a little paint on my palette, when it comes to washes, shades, and contrast paints, I have to say that the Citadel pot wins out. Constantly having to pour out more paint, making sure to put plenty, but worrying about putting too much is a real pain. And there was a couple instances where I did pour out a little bit too much and it actually started to dry and kind of got like a gummy feeling to it. And I worked pretty quickly. And while I'm very happy with the actual results, I just want to point out that there are some flaws. So that being said, I did do quite a bit. I used up about half of this bottle. So I would say I definitely did adequate testing. Not only did I wash these 3 containers, but I did a bunch of barrels, crates, and some bolters as well. But if you're just looking for the quick review and you want to know how it went, I will 100% be using this in the future, and pretty much it's going to be replacing Nul'n Oil for me. And that's coming from someone that's been using Nul'n Oil for 30 years. I found that the finish on this was really, really nice. It's somewhere in between what I would consider to be flat and a satin. It has a little bit of a sheen to it, but not enough that it's a problem. It's also not so flat that it looks unnatural. I was very happy with how it worked, not only down in the recesses, which is the easy part, but also on the flat surfaces as well. And if that's all you're looking for, it was just a quick review on the Pro Acryl washes. I can't speak for them all, but for the black wash, I would say it is 100% awesome and I would definitely recommend it. But I know that you guys like to see actual painting and things completed at the end. So if you're interested in a little bit more, stay tuned because we're going to go through and highlight all these and then we're going to show off the final result. So I'm going to go ahead and speed up the actual painting process. Total to paint all of this with the brushwork itself after doing the washes and all that, it took me a few hours. I spread the airbrushing out a bit and I did have to tape off some areas. I did the washing in a different sitting and then went through and did all the highlights afterwards. And then of course there was a little bit of like fine-tuned painting as well. And I airbrush on a little bit of OSL for the lights at the end. But all in all, I would say that the complete process from start to finish was about 6 hours. Considering 3 large containers and a bunch of smaller pieces as well, I'd say I made pretty good time. But most importantly, I'm really happy with the results. I would definitely recommend Pro Acryl for anybody. I'm looking forward to using some of their other products in the future. And as a matter of fact, I've already ordered some more, including the base paint set. Part of the reason that I'm actually looking for some alternatives is not just that we're spoiled for choice and we didn't used to be, but also that Games Workshop has changed their washes over time. So they actually changed up their recipe last year and made their shades a little bit more like contrast paints. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's worse, it's just different. They also decreased the bottle size from 24 milliliters down to 18 milliliters, which was basically the equivalence of like a 33% price increase as well. And for a product that was already expensive, to suddenly get hit with shrinkflation on top of that, and then them changing the recipe, I finally decided it was at least worth checking out some alternatives. So initially I tried out Army Painter's shades, and while I found the dark tone and some of the others to be acceptable, I definitely had some problems with them being glossy down in the cracks. Sometimes it was if I didn't shake the product good enough. Other times it didn't matter how much I shook it, it would dry glossy. And that for me is just unacceptable. So while the Army Painter shades are definitely nice and they're cheap, I was still left wanting, and my journey for the perfect product continued. It wasn't until someone actually left a comment on one of my videos to try out the Pro Acryl line that I finally decided to give them a shot. And I have to tell you that I'm really glad I did, because from now on, this is my new go-to shade line. And for me, once I try one of your products out and it's good quality, I'm fully willing to give the rest of your line a shot. So if you do enjoy today's video and you're interested how the rest of the Pro Acryl line performs, stay tuned because I got the base set on the way. As far as price is concerned, it's definitely a nice comparable replacement. It's a little bit cheaper. It's also an American brand, which is great because I'm in the United States. But like I said, the most important thing is the quality. And if the old Nul'n Oil was a 9 out of 10, which I'd say it was, Pro Acryl is at least that. Now it's hard for me to give something a perfect score, but to tell you the truth, the only thing I think it could have done better is just the container it comes in. I would have preferred it to come in more of a traditional pot like the Citadel pots. But I only feel that way for contrast paints and shades/washes, like I discussed in the beginning. So as we've been chatting, I went ahead and just highlighted each color. And as we're getting towards the end, I think you can see how well these really look. Now obviously for terrain, it could be a little more rough, doesn't have to be perfect. But I can say with 100% confidence that I would feel completely comfortable using these on my models, and I'm really looking forward to it. So let me know if you've tried out the Pro Acryl washes or the rest of the paint line and what you think. And if you enjoyed today's video, today's review, or you're thinking about giving Pro Acryl a shot, hopefully TableTop Bros has earned your subscription. So now as we're getting towards the end, I'm just showing off a couple of pictures of the final results. The only thing I did after the highlights was go through with the airbrush and just do a couple of OSL effects on the lights. I'm very happy with the final product and how everything came out. The finish on this Pro Acryl washes is absolutely amazing. And while I've only used the black wash so far, I've got a few of the other ones and I'm definitely looking forward to using them as well. So yeah, after trying out Pro Acryl paints, I'm really happy not only to be using a US brand, but I gotta say that I just love having the option. And while you might be in Europe, UK, or somewhere else, and the price might not be as good, I can say with 100% confidence that the quality is at least comparable to Games Workshop products, which I would consider to be the baseline for a premium product. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, make sure to give TableTop Bros a subscription. But yeah, that's it from the TableTop Bros. Later!